Transforming the human body into a cyborg is terrifying. Imagine eyes that can see heat signatures, hands that can be turned into guns with barrels embedded in the palms and ammunition stored in the upper arms. Even more impressive are the capabilities of the human mouth. A simple sneeze could unleash countless nanoblades into the air, instantly burrowing into an enemy's nostrils and destroying their brain cells in less than a second. On Earth, in 2033, artificial intelligence is already sweeping the globe. Fully self-driving cars are traveling on the streets, homes are equipped with all kinds of smart devices, and technology has even become one with the human body. In pursuit of convenience, humans have spared no effort to transform themselves. However, there is one person who refuses to accept high technology. Gray, a passionate craftsman, is skeptical of advanced technology. One day, Gray is introduced to Elon, the CEO of the world's largest technology company, by his wife Asha. Elon shows them his latest invention, a smart brain chip. He claims that after implanting this chip, anyone will become superhuman, surpassing the combined intelligence. However, Gray is convinced that over-reliance on artificial intelligence will eventually lead to the demise of the human race. Shortly afterward, on their way home, Gray's concerns are proven correct. The self-driving car they were traveling in suddenly went out of control, veering off its navigation route and accelerating uncontrollably. The brakes also failed. The smart car took them into a ghetto and straight into a barrier. Luckily, Gray and Asha escaped unharmed, but they encountered a group of masked thugs who killed Asha on the spot, right in front of Gray's eyes. Gray tries to fight back, but is subdued and shot in the neck. After a scream of pain, the attackers leave. Gray tries to crawl to his wife's lifeless hand, but finds himself powerless to move, helpless. Gray could only watch as his beloved wife passed away within arm's reach. Despite being shot and paralyzed in the lower half of his body, Gray pulled through. He would spend the rest of his life in a wheelchair. To ensure Gray's survival, his mother installed many smart devices in the house. However, Gray is consumed by the desire for revenge, and he comes to the police station to inquire about the progress of the investigation. The police tell him that all evidence has been completely removed and there is no trace of the murderer. Sadness, despair, and helplessness pressed Gray, and he ordered the intelligent devices to inject themselves with a large dose of tranquilizers, intending to escape from this dark world. Unexpectedly, the intelligent device dialed the emergency number at the critical moment, saving Gray's life again. Perhaps it was fate's mercy on this poor man. Just when Gray lost all hope, Elon came and offered a solution. He claimed that by implanting a chip in Gray's body, he could help him regain his mobility. With nothing left to lose, Gray agrees, and the operation takes place in secret at Elon's residence. The brain chip that had once disgusted Gray was implanted in his spine. Gray wakes up and is able to get up from his wheelchair, and within half an hour, can even run at extraordinary speeds without a care in the world. Elon tells Gray that the procedure is unprecedented and illegal, and that he must keep it a secret from everyone. Gray agrees. Back at home, Gray immediately begins investigating his wife's killer. However, even the police could not find any clues. What could an ordinary person like Gray discover? Just when Gray was at a loss, a low voice rang in his ears.
I can only discern speech when you talk out loud.
Gray was analyzing the surveillance video of the crime scene when the brain chip captured a fleeting image. It guided Gray to a specific image in the video. One of the murderers had a tattoo on his wrist. It was blurry, but the smart brain chip was able to clearly identify it with its powerful recognition abilities. The smart brain instructed Gray to relax his body, and then maneuvered his pen, holding hand to meticulously outline a complete image, much like the operation of a printer. With this image, the thinking brain chip recognized all the information about the murderer. After countless failed attempts by the police, the smart brain chip solved the case with just one frame. The next day, Gray sneaks into the murderer's home with the intention of finding evidence. Suddenly, the murderer returns home and finds Gray through his reflection in the mirror. Gray, who has just undergone surgery, is helpless in the face of the murderer. Just when Gray is about to be killed, the intelligent brain chip offers to take control of his body. The next second, the killer's every move becomes under control, and Gray becomes vicious and ruthless, despite his disability. Gray's body is stiff and agile, and he fights without moral boundaries. When Gray shouts for a stop, his legs press uncontrollably toward the killer. Gray pleads with the killer to surrender as he pounds the killer with a plate. Unexpectedly, the killer picked up a knife and swung it at Gray. Filled with fear, Gray's body instinctively helped him dodge the attack and counterattack by stabbing the killer. After solving the murderer, the intelligent brain chip returned the control of his body to Gray, who immediately rushed to the kitchen and vomited uncontrollably. With the help of the intelligent brain chip, Gray cleaned up the crime scene and found clues to the other murderer. The other murderer was currently in a bar, so Gray disguised himself as a disabled person and went to the eerie bar. But Gray is not intimidated. As soon as he entered the bar, he called out the name of the murderer to everyone and asked if anyone recognized the man. Before Gray could finish, all the patrons burst into laughter. Toland stepped out of the crowd and warmly invited Gray to the bar's restroom. The floor was littered with bullet casings, and it was obvious that a lot of people had been executed. Two men lifted Gray and threw him to the ground. Torin approaches Gray, flips him over, and stabs Gray in the thigh with a knife. But the smart brain chip has shut down Gray's pain nerves, rendering him unresponsive to Torin's attack. Gray asks Torin if he was there that night. Torin mockingly replied, "Yes, I was there." Upon hearing these words, Gray immediately activates the thinker chip. His muscles seem to go into overdrive once again, and he performed a variety of difficult maneuvers. Gray could predict Torin's every move and effortlessly dodge his attacks, while Gray's own attacks always hit their targets. When Torin is subdued, Brain uses torture to force out the address of the last murderer. However, just then, the brain chip alerts Gray that he is in danger, and it is Elon who realizes that Gray has moved away from the controls and forces the system to shut down. The thinking brain says that in order to get rid of the controls completely, a hacker must be found to destroy the operating system, or Gray will be paralyzed forever. As time passes and Gray sprints toward the address provided by the brain, his body gradually loses function. Fortunately, at the last minute, Gray reaches his destination. The hacker takes the money and immediately begins connecting to the brain chip and manipulating the data. Meanwhile, Fisk, the leader of the assassins, discovers Torin's lifeless body in a bar. Fisk, who is also a Tishi, learns of Gray's upcoming destination by reading a recording taken from Torin's eyeball. Now Fisk wants to avenge his subordinate. He sneezed, and the sprayed droplets transformed into countless tiny nanoblades in the air. It flew into the nostrils of the enemies and instantly crushed their brain cells. After killing the target, the killers began to search for Gray's whereabouts. At this time, Gray was still in a state of shock, and the brain chip in his body needed some time to reboot. It didn't take long for the killers to arrive, and when the hackers saw the surveillance, they immediately fled. Only Gray, still writhing on the floor, was left. Just as Fisk was about to shoot, Gray's thinking chip finished rebooting. With a few high backflips, Gray dodged all the bullets. Gray sprinted up to the roof with amazing speed, with the killer in hot pursuit. Gray knocked the killer down with a hard punch and then grabbed his left arm. Back home, Gray collapses into bed, exhausted. That's when Cortez comes to see him. Cortez notices Gray's presence at several of the city's recent crime scenes and suspects that Gray is seeking revenge for himself. Instead of investigating his wife's murder, Cortez investigates Gray, which angers Gray. He verbally abuses Cortez and drives him away. Afterward, Gray becomes afraid and tries to convince the thinking brain to stop committing crimes. However, the smart brain disagrees and simply shuts down the intelligence system, paralyzing Gray once again. As it turns out, the think brain chip can control Gray's body at will. Shortly afterward, the brain chip manipulated Gray to find Fisk, the last killer. Fisk was a retired soldier whose body had been enhanced by the AI, surpassing ordinary people in terms of physical ability and mechanical weapons. Gray aimed his gun at Fisk, but Fisk remained calm and collected, dodging every shot. The collision between the two was not only a clash of muscles, but also a battle of precise calculations. When Fisk attempted to attack again with his nano-flying blade, Gray quickly headbutted him to defuse the crisis. However, as the battle progressed, Gray began to fall behind, because when two tech-enhanced people were evenly matched, It ultimately came down to physical ability. Fisk's hand turned into a gun and aimed at Gray's head. Just as Gray was about to shoot, he suddenly remembered that the first killer he eliminated was very similar to Fisk. After realizing that this man was Fisk's brother, Gray began to verbally taunt and mock Fisk over and over again. Sure enough, this succeeded in provoking Fisk's anger, causing him to lose control and charge at Gray. Seizing the opportunity, Gray grabbed Fisk firmly and slammed him to the ground with force. After taking care of the last murderer, Gray set out to find the man behind the curtain. Gray put on the murderer's headphones and listened to the recorded message inside. He realizes that the voice is very familiar. It belongs to Elon, the CEO of a tech company. It turns out that it was all a conspiracy by Elon. Furious, Gray storms into Elon's home. Just as Elon is about to meet his end, Cortez appears. Cortez tries to stop Gray from continuing his crime, but is powerless in front of the thinking brain. He is quickly defeated. The thinking brain takes control of Gray and intends to kill Cortez, but Gray doesn't want to do that. Gray used every ounce of his strength to restrain himself, but his grip got tighter and tighter. With his last ounce of sanity, Gray convinced Cortez to electrocute him. It was then that Elon revealed the truth. Elon was just a puppet and the real mastermind was the smart chip. Although Elon created it, the smart chip quickly grew and took control of the entire company. From Gray's car accident to everything that happened afterward, every step was part of the smart brain chip's plan. The smart brain chip tried to use Gray's body to control humans. Gray pleaded with Elon to end his life, not realizing that the smart brain chip had rebooted again and killed Elon on the spot. The smart brain chip then turned its gun on Cortez, but Gray continued to fight it. With his last ounce of willpower, Gray turned the gun on himself. The next second, Gray woke up from his hospital bed as if nothing had happened. Gray was not paralyzed and his wife was not dead. She appeared before him with a smile on her face. Although he couldn't believe what was in front of him, Gray accepted it all. Just like that, Gray was imprisoned forever in the virtual world created by the smart brain.
In his mind, where he wants to be. I've taken over now. Gray's not here anymore. He's in a better place. A fake world is a lot less painful than a real one. All I needed was for his mind to break, and he broke it.
Speaking of which, the smart brain killed Cortez with a single shot. It then coldly left the scene and began a life that belonged to it.